action, really. All right, we've started doing a whole series on budget recipes and things that you can do with ground beef and things you can do with marinara. And as part of that, I'm going to show you one of my all-time favorites and probably one of my kids' all-time favorites. We're going to make meatballs. We're going to make a very simple, basic meatball that are great by themselves, but that you can also turn into all kinds of other things. That's one of my favorite tricks. You can actually make them and stash them in the freezer and bake them off whenever you need them, and then you're halfway to a great dinner. All right, so a trick to a good meatball: breadcrumbs. I'm going to show you this. All this is fresh breadcrumbs. There's the puppy. It's not my puppy, it's my brother's puppy. All right, fresh breadcrumbs. Easy, easy. Throw a couple pieces of bread. This is 2 hamburger buns, and it doesn't matter what kind, really. Hamburger buns. Excuse me. Ricky, would you mind? Thank you. I used a couple of hamburger buns. You can use whole wheat bread if that's what you want to do. You can use the heels and leftovers. You can actually buy breadcrumbs if you want to. This is the easiest way. And you just crush it up in your blender, food processor, whatever. All right, to this, 1 egg. And that's my one and only fancy kitchen trick. Cracking an egg with 1 hand. Okay. 1 small onion. He's trying to ask me what he's supposed to do with the puppy now. Just hold on a minute. And this is 2 tomatoes. I think I actually had a little too much, so I'm going to use about 1.5. These were big. And I did seed them. I didn't bother peeling it. All right, so I'm going to run this over here. I'm going to mash it all up in a paste, and I'll be back in a second to show you the next step.
Go.
Okay, so we have our fresh breadcrumbs, which is going to be, we have a nice light tender meatball. And we have our vegetables, which is going to keep them nice and moist, and garlic, and it smells really good. If you make all the stuff you're going to put in your meatballs into a paste first, you get a really nice homogeneous blend without little chunks everywhere. And it's just easier to get it all mixed up. So I've got 2 pounds of ground beef, and this one is, I don't know, it's not fabulous. It was what was on sale. I think this one is a 85. You don't want much less than that for fat because they'll end up tough. Okay, well, this is more like a tablespoon. 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder and onion powder, salt and pepper, okay? And one of the things you want to remember, and I know I say this in everything I do, but you want to remember when you're working with ground beef, you don't want to have to mix it up any more than you have to just to get everything all in there together. It's another reason why you want to put everything through the blender or food processor beforehand. So if that's already mixed up, you don't have to work on the meat so much. Okay, so this is all we're doing. I'm going to mix this as best I can. And yeah, use your hands. It's a lot easier. You can tell where there's pockets where it's not quite mixed up. I'm going to mix all this up, and I've got a 350-degree oven. I have my little disher, but I'm going to wash my hands in just a second, and I'll be back and show you how to put the meatballs together. Look at it. This is the best way to make meatballs. These little ice cream scoop disher things. I know that if you have an Italian grandmother, she could probably whip these out by hand and they were all perfect and uniform. And I didn't have an Italian grandmother. I lost the genes somewhere in Ireland. All right, so this is the easiest way to do it, okay? And we're gonna bake these. It helps if you put it on a rack like this over a cookie sheet and you bake it off, you will actually drain off a lot of the fat, which is always a good thing. So they're not greasy, they're still that light, tender, yummy thing. But this also makes sure that your proportions are all perfectly even so that when you're cooking them, they'll cook at the same rate. Now a lot of times my daughter and I will come in here and we'll make 3 or 4 batches at once. Because if you want to, and I'll just show you how to do this real quick. See, that's kind of messy. Take a second, and my hands are damp. It's easier if your hands are wet. Take a second and just roll them like that. Then you end up with a nice, isn't that pretty? That's pretty. But if you want to, at this point, you can lay them out on a sheet like this and stick it in the freezer. And then once they're frozen solid, you can pop them off the sheet, throw them in a plastic bag, and you can stash them, I don't know, a couple months. Keep them real nice and tight. And when you want to, throw them on a baking sheet, just like this, on your rack, and you can bake them off from there. All right, so this is all I'm doing for these meatballs. I'm going to finish up this batch. So we're going to have a 350-degree oven. And I'd say this size, I have small, medium, and large. This size take about half an hour in a 350-degree oven. So once I've baked off a batch, I'm going to come back, show you what they look like, and then I'm going to start showing you what you can do with them.
Go.
Okay, so we had right at half an hour in the oven, and look here. Ah, wait, they're hot. Okay, look here. See this? Because we baked it on a rack. See all that goop that came out of there? That's not the nice stuff. That's the fat. We don't want it in the meatball. But the inside of the meatball is perfect. Look here. Hot, hot, hot. God, I just channeled my father. Okay. See? It's still nice and tender. Yummy. Okay. So meatballs. Now they're ready for just about anything you want to do to it. My 2-year-old didn't pick his food up and put it on his fork. Of course, you can do the marinara with the pasta like I showed you. These are great. They are just warm the meatballs in the sauce. But there's all kinds of other stuff you can do with it, including a meatball sub, which I'm about to knock out here in a minute. So check out the website, which is thrillbillygourmet.com. Find me on YouTube, which is probably where you're seeing me. Or if it's on iTunes, make sure you subscribe.